In the cruel heart of the savannah, peace is a fragile illusion. A single flash of golden eye, and everything can change in the blink of an eye. We often think that danger comes from a resounding roar or thundering footsteps, but the truth is, the greatest threat often slithers in absolute silence. That moment had arrived. The acacia tree, where the lion cub was playing innocently, suddenly trembled subtly, almost imperceptibly. The vibration wasn't caused by the wind, but by the weight and movement of a creature. From above, a long, winding shadow began to descend. It was a giant rock python, a living mass of muscle, agile and deadly. Its skin glistened like silver armor under the sun, and its cold, expressionless eyes gleamed like two lifeless jade stones. It didn't hiss or threaten. It simply moved with a singular purpose: to hunt. The lioness, whose keen instinct was her guiding compass, sprang up like an uncoiled spring. In a fraction of a second, her demeanor switched from relaxed to an extreme state of combat readiness. But it was too late. The python struck like lightning, its speed and power overshadowing the lioness's every move. The first constriction was established quickly, precisely, and brutally. The cub was tightly coiled, suspended on a dry branch, out of its mother's reach. The cub's cry was no longer playful. It was a shriek of terror and suffocation, lost within the steel-like muscle coils of the predator. Everything became dark and chaotic. The peace had been crushed. This was not just an attack. It was a silent death sentence. And the mother stood before a tragedy that even her great strength could not undo. With unexpected speed, the python completed its task. Its coils wrapped tightly around the cub's body, each muscle fiber squeezing the life out of it, suspending the victim on the arid ridge. The cub thrashed in desperation, its weak kicks only tightening the grip. Its broken, gasping sound became thin and lost in the frightening stillness of the late afternoon. At the same moment, the lioness roared, a sound that echoed across the savannah. Not the roar of a hunt, but the roar of absolute rage and helplessness. She lunged at the base of the tree. Her sharp claws tore into the rough bark, leaving deep, bleeding gashes. She tried to climb, but her magnificent physique, designed to dominate the ground, became an insurmountable burden on the vertical, slippery surface. Her frantic, blood and sweat-drenched attempts only led to utter failure. She roared again, the sound now filled with despair, a heartbreaking sound coming from a creature believed to be unbeatable. In this extreme moment, where physical strength was exhausted, the lioness was forced to stop. She looked up at her dying cub, and then slowly, her gaze shifted down. Her entire body still trembled with adrenaline, but a terrifying stillness began to envelop her mind. She looked down at the base of the tree, where another creature was sleeping soundly, a massive silverback gorilla. This was a rare sight, a creature from a different region, resting nonchalantly in unfamiliar territory. The lioness's eyes at this moment had completely changed. It was no longer the proud gaze of the queen of the savannah. It was filled with profound sorrow and a silent plea. She roared one last time, but this sound was utterly different. It wasn't a threat, nor a challenge, but a supplication, a desperate request for help that her instinct and pride should never have allowed her to utter. This surrender was the bravest act she had ever performed. The gorilla opened its eyes. Its awakening was slow, heavy, as if it carried the weight of the forest on its shoulders. Its gaze met the desperate, pleading eyes of the lioness, a rare moment where two wild beasts, defined by biological enmity, seemed to understand each other. It showed no fear or intimidation, only assessment, consideration. It looked up at the tree, down at the cub, and finally returned its gaze to the begging eyes. This moment, enveloped in the afternoon silence, was proof that the bond of pain could transcend all barriers of instinct. The gorilla did not rush. It lay there, taking deep breaths, its muscle fibers coiling deliberately beneath the thick fur. Its slow actions only heightened the lioness's suffocating anticipation. The lioness maintained her posture, not daring to move, knowing that a single wrong action could shatter this fragile moment of empathy. In her eyes, pride had completely given way to absolute respect for the creature before her. She had accepted that her strength was not enough, and her cub's life depended on the compassion of another. The gorilla's response did not come in language, but in movement. It let out a soft, low rumble, as if shaking off the last vague thoughts. It slowly rose, its colossal figure overshadowing part of the sun. Its massive hand clenched into a fist, knuckles cracking, a calculated preparation, not a frenzy. Its steps were decisive, slowly moving toward the base of the tree. The entire savanna seemed to hold its breath with every step it took. The gorilla began to climb the tree. Its movements were determined, muscles surging like taut ropes beneath the fur. Unlike the lioness's helpless scratching, the gorilla's grips were secure footholds, perfectly utilizing its superior strength. The savanna wind, which had been rushing, suddenly seemed to hold its breath, waiting. The surrounding silence grew thick, leaving only the sound of powerful climbing. The gorilla continued to climb, its dark silhouette a stark contrast against the golden sky. The lioness remained still on the ground, every emotion reduced to a single focus on the savior. She did not growl or urge. There was only absolute trust. On the branch, the rock python recognized the unexpected danger. It was not afraid, but it sensed a significant shift in the balance of power. In response, it tightened its coils around the cub even more. Its smooth, muscular body tensed like steel, its eyes fixed on the gorilla with cold calculation. This action was its final challenge. You want it? You will have to tear me apart. The rock python's grip can generate a pressure of over 4 kilograms per square centimeter. That is enough pressure to stop the hearts and lungs of most large animals. What you are witnessing is not just a fight. It is a biological limit confronting a biological miracle. The confrontation ensued. The gorilla lunged. Its roar was neither the roar of a lion nor its own species, but a primal sound of unleashed power. Its two massive hands grabbed the python's body, beginning to stretch the coils. This was a battle of wills. The sustained power of the constriction against the explosive strength of the gorilla's muscles. The python resisted fiercely, coiling a tight loop around the gorilla's arm. The air grew thick. The cracking sound of a dry branch under the weight of the two massive creatures echoed like a gunshot. For a moment, it seemed the gorilla would be choked, its face strained, muscles bulging under the terrifying pressure. That was the moment doubt crept in. Could compassion be strong enough to defeat the hunting instinct honed over millions of years? But the gorilla did not back down. It poured all its strength into its free arm, executing a terrifying jerk. This sharp pull was not just physical force. It was an eruption of will. The coils, already taut, were forced to loosen slightly. Immediately, the gorilla seized the opening, pulling harder. The cub, with the loosened coils, fell free. The cub fell. With an unbelievable reflex, the lioness sprang up, gently catching her cub in her mouth, tumbling onto the ground. She rolled, protecting her offspring with her own body. When things settled, she held the cub in her trembling embrace. Her breathing was rapid, not from exhaustion, but from relief. A rare sight occurred. Hot tears streamed down the lioness's fierce face, a chaotic mix of depletion, relief, and pure love. Above, the gorilla completed its task. It hurled the python's body to the ground, its heavy thud being the final sound of violence. It breathed heavily, chest heaving, not in triumph, but in completion of the task. It looked down at the lioness, and this was the story's climax. The lioness looked up, her eyes, once filled with supplication, now brimmed with deep gratitude. Between the two distant species, there was no longer enmity, no longer fear, only absolute respect. The lioness's roar resonated, but not to threaten or mark territory, but as a hymn of thanks, a silent promise of peace. If this unexpected bond proved one thing, It is this. Even in the direst moments, the solution often comes from reaching out to the last person or creature you'd ever expect. Remember, you are never too strong to be saved and never too different to be the savior. True strength lies in the willingness to connect. The gorilla did not stay for things. It did not seek reward or recognition. Like a mythological hero, it slowly climbed down, silently turned its back, its dark silhouette fading into the distant forest. This act of leaving emphasized its altruism. It did not act for personal gain, but for a calling beyond instinct. It left behind a legacy of kindness. On the savannah, a rare moment had been etched, when compassion transcended the instinct of survival. The story of the lion and the gorilla is not just a rare event in nature. It is a profound lesson for humanity. It reminds us that salvation and hope often come from unexpected alliances, driven by one universal language: love and empathy. If this story brought you hope, please hit the like button. And to see more true stories about reluctant heroes and deep connections that defy science, click subscribe and join our community. What is the riskiest choice you've ever made to help someone? Let us know in the comments below.